everybody can hear you.
Yes, but I don't know if I have it set.
Well, yeah, because you're acting.
Let me check.
I think you changed it after that one time.
Or you go to
right.
another color, and it'll wash off your old color. The water's
Put it. Got it.
Still blue. But inside.
put a whole bunch of blue on it, honey.
No. So it didn't have blue. It had red. Red. And I washed it off, and it just come off.
Okay.
And inside of the green, it turned blue.
Yeah.
I don't see where I see this setting.
Go to the settings and then I think you go to audio.
In the group
you
settings
changed it
or the
before.
main PlayStation settings? Yeah, I just don't remember.
The main PlayStation settings.
Oh,
So
no.
go here, go to sound. Microphone status. Oh well, whatever. If they can hear me, they can hear me. Otherwise, it'll be like you're talking to a ghost.
I guess.
They
All
can
right.
hear you,
So,
Christ, that's loud.
then let me just turn the mic away from my mouth then.
No, it's okay. I just turned it down.
Oh my goodness, you're
Alright,
fine.
hello everybody, it's Spank my Tinkerbell. We're back after a week of not being on due to Memorial Day. So, we're here today to talk about mental health, wellness, and today's topic is fear. But let me turn it over to Senpai so he can introduce himself to the world. Senpai?
Well, as y'all already know from the last one, and I do apologize for not being there, it is Senpai Husk. You already know how I do, so let's get into it and back to you.
Perfect. So, I hope your guys' weekend and week was good to you. If not, I am truly sorry. First things first, this is not by any means, any way, shape, or form a professional. We're not professional therapists, psychologists.
No, we are not.
We are just two people, two gamers that have common ground in terms of mental wellness and mental health, and we're here just to talk about stuff that needs to be talked about and different subjects about mental wellness and mental health and different topics every Monday between 7:30 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. But again, if you're tuning in, this is just us talking, giving our opinions, and just telling the world, the gamer community, that it's okay to have mental health problems. But, however, if you're going through a rough time and you need someone to talk to, please don't hesitate to comment on my video or PM me, on PSN, Spank my Tinkerbell, or Senpai Husk. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Or if, feeling worse than that, then I would highly recommend seeking professional help, seeing a professional counselor, licensed therapist, psychiatrist, whatever you need. You will not be scrutinized for it. If anything, we encourage you to seek a licensed therapist or counselor. All right. With that being said, today our topic is fear. All right. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
You ready, Senpai?
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about fear.
Not really, but okay.
Yeah, I'm not ready either. Now, here we go. First question, Senpai.
Ooh, I'm ready.
And Cerberus. Cerberus is in here too, but I think he muted himself because his baby is
No, no, sir. You're a part of this. Do not unmute yourself, sir. I see that. Unmute yourself, sir. Sir, I'm gonna need you to come back. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know what? You know what? That changes today. That changes today, okay? Let's give our man Cerberus like the welcome he deserves, okay? So like
Yes,
please
Cerberus.
introduce yourself. I
Yes.
encourage this now. Like this starts today. Like every Monday, all three of us are going to introduce ourselves. So please, you have the floor, sir.
That's not what I wanted.
Too late. You got it now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's happening.
Hello, I am the Cerberus. And I'm here just to listen and participate. And I'm Tink's best friend in real life. Here we go.
Major facts. I have confirmation of that. Thank you, Cerberus.
All right. Thank you. We need to work on that intro. We gotta do something more snazzy for you.
We're gonna get there.
But,
Huh.
yes. First question for both of you. This is how we're gonna start off. Our topic is fear. Now, first question: what does fear mean to you?
Well, I guess fear for me means that you are truly in a state that you are scared beyond anything else. For me, it's not something that will easily go away. The essence of fear is to me something that doesn't go away.
Yeah, speak up a little bit.
Obviously scares the crap out of you. And it's always there.
Right. Okay. Fear to me means... I'm not ready. And I'm the one that wrote these questions down. You would think I would have the answer.
Got it, Tink.
Fear to me means something that puts you in that fight or flight response, whether you stay in fight with whatever you're afraid of, or you haul ass out of that situation that's, that's cut, that you just gotta get the hell out of there. It's a state of mind where your body absolutely freezes, and then you run away, or you just stay and decide to face that fear head on, and you just face it and try to get over it. Cerberus, what about you, bud? Right.
Honestly, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. It is. It's an evolutionary fight or flight response. It's just a self-preservation of the body type thing. So if you've noticed in small children, like I'm looking at my children right now, especially my middle child, who's 3, literally has no fear. And most children, they don't have fear until it's a learned response. They'll climb to the highest point in whatever they can until they fall and break their arm. Then they might develop a fear of heights. They might be fine in a pool until that first time their head dips underneath and they take in some water. Now they're afraid of water. They are fine in a dark room until they see something that triggers that fear of the darkness. So it could be a shadow, it could be something they saw on TV, it could be a story, could have just been the parents talking, could have just been a bad dream. But now they're afraid of the dark.
Right.
So it's just a natural reaction to outside stimuli for self-preservation.
Getting all academic on us, I see. All right.
I mean, that's what I do. I also argue Star Wars on the weekends. Look me up.
Yeah, you do love to argue a lot. Second question. When does fear become a problem? Senpai?
Fear becomes a problem when, well, particularly for me, when I get stuck. I'm just like, and I mean, like, I am stuck. I cannot go nowhere. Like in my mental state, like this is it. This is the end. That's when fear comes out. If I
Mm-hmm.
know that I can figure my way out, then I'm good. But the minute I am like mentally stuck, I cannot get out of that bubble or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's game over. It doesn't matter if it's just like let's say like fear of spiders. If like I could easily move away, but because it's right there in front of me and
Mm-hmm.
approaching me, I cannot move. So I'm just like, I am now trapped in that bubble, and I'm just like, how the fuck do I get away from this thing? And I can't
Right.
move because I can't think of a general logical explanation as to which way is going to move or if it's going to jump on me or whatever the fuck. I stay
Right.
there. So I get stuck.
That's similar to my thinking. Is fear becomes a problem when it starts affecting your physical sense and it starts affecting your daily routine. So let's say, for example, like I'm scared of heights. If I go near a freaking roller coaster, there's no way in hell I'm gonna get on that fucking thing because I am deathly afraid of heights. Um, I will be immobilized. I can't move. Maybe I'll throw up. I'll feel nauseous. Might piss my pants. You know, just when when it takes over your body and you can't do anything about it. You don't know how to respond because you're just like you said. You're just frozen stiff, and it affects your way of thinking. It affects all your logical thinking. Excuse me, and you just stand there and until you come to and you realize you have to get out of there. Like if it's something life threatening, like a fucking rattler coming at you, or things like that. Mikey, what about you?
Um, yeah, anytime it keeps you from doing any normal activity, fear is a problem. And
Mhm.
then you just kind of have to recognize what it is. Like most people, anxiety essentially is a fear of the unknown.
Hmm.
Any sort of new situation and such, which that's a big part of stuff, but that's all it is. It's fear. It's you overthinking, you thinking about whatever, and you're afraid of what the outcome can be. Probably because you've experienced somewhat of the worst of what that could be, or something to that nature.
Right.
That's a lot of overthinking of
Yeah.
either you had it or you like you just experienced the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, even though it didn't.
Hmm.
Like you will always think of the worst thing to make sure that you are clear in mind before you can take another step forward.
Alrighty then. Senpai,
It will.
I've asked 2 questions. Now it's your turn to ask a question.
So now I shall ask mine. I want to know. Well, we kind of answered it already, but the question was, what fear brings anxiety? Or I should have asked why fear brings anxiety.
Why fear brings anxiety?
Hmm.
Because it's like what Mikey said. It's just
I thought
not
he kind of
knowing.
answered my
It's like
question
not. It's like.
before I could get
It's
the
like
question.
not knowing what's gonna happen because it's like you expect something to go a certain way,
Hmm.
but when it doesn't, it freaks you out. That's how I am sometimes with me. Like I expect, um, for example, next May my husband retires from the United States Navy, and he's gonna have his retirement ceremony. And my biggest fear is his side of the family not showing up, or
I know. Stop.
something random out of the blue that I have no control over. That throws me off. Then I become fearful, and I start worrying, and then I start getting anxious. Then I start overthinking and overanalyzing, and then I just put myself into a situation. Yeah, I put myself in a mental situation where I will more than likely have some sort of panic or anxiety attack. And then it just goes down from there. But, that's why people like things to go as planned, because they know when everything goes as planned, there's no fear, there's no anxiety, there's no overanalyzing, there's no overthinking. It's done, 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 done. And then the end result is everybody's happy. What happened according to plan. Nothing messed it up. We can smooth sailing from there.
Very true. So my next question was, when depressed, why do we shrink back into fear?
What do you mean shrink back?
So, like, I've had this question locked away for a long time, because for me, like, when I get depressed sometimes, or most of the time, I'll think about the worst things in like the worst way, and then it's just like I tend to get stuck there, and I can't get out of like being stuck in that fear of what could possibly happen to me, or what could possibly happen to me down the line. It's just like, when I started to get like extremely sad, extremely moody, I would think about things like that, and I'm like, I wasn't thinking about that, and then I started to. Like,
Right.
It's
like a domino effect.
Yeah, it's just like I was
Like
fine,
I was fine
and then I
until
wasn't.
someone said something, or something popped in your head, or a certain smell reminded you of something that happened to you in the past, things like that. Is that what you mean?
This probably wasn't a domino. It probably was, because I was trying to figure out, like, why does this keep happening every time? And couldn't figure that out for the life of me.
Right. No, for me, one of my fears is my son's biological sperm donor just suddenly waltzes into pictures and demands to see his son. That's one of my greatest fears. And I don't know what will happen, because it's been like 12 years since he left, because sperm donor left when I told him I was pregnant. And so my greatest fear is that motherfucker coming up, surprising me like, hey, I'm here now, where's my son? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like my fear is like, shit. It's like, where were you then? Why all of a sudden, why are you here now? And it just delves back into the fear of it. Not only that, but when background story, Cerberus knows this story, but back when I was pregnant with my son in the first trimester of my pregnancy, I was in such a depressive state, like it was incredibly bad, because one, he wasn't in the picture, two, I was 19 and didn't have a job, three, everybody expected me to be, because I was the firstborn, everybody expected me to do something great other than get knocked up. You know what I mean? But I mean, what happened, and lesson learned. But it's just, it put me in such a bad mental state. And trigger warning for everybody out there. So, trigger warning. So if we need to leave because it's about to get heavy here, I'm giving you 5 seconds to go. Okay. So you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about to get bad.
Yeah.
So when I was when I was pregnant with my son, the first trimester, my depression was so bad that I almost committed suicide. I'm not gonna lie. I had letters written out. I had plans in motion. Like, everything was down to a certain way. That's how dark I got because of what the sperm donor did to me and how he left. And when, especially after I told him that I was pregnant with his baby, because he was the only person I've been with. So it just put me, I don't, if that asshole comes back in the picture for some miraculous like, it's got to be some sort of miracle for him to track me down in order to see his my son. That's gonna put, I fear that it's gonna put me back into that dark depressive state where I may not be able to come out of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Yeah. So that's one of my fears. That's one of my greatest fears. And I'm sure other single moms, single dads can relate to it as well. Um, but it was just really rough. It was really dark times. But I don't know how. I managed to fucking overcome it and get the help that I needed and got health insurance through the state and took care of my baby, had my baby, and now 12 years later, he's still
Still
my
out there
little
kicking
spider
butt.
monkey. Yeah, he's my little spider monkey. I mean, not so. I mean, he's little, but he will always be my baby spider monkey.
100%.
Yeah. Cerberus,
Yes.
your turn.
What was the question?
When depressed, why does one shrink back into fear?
Honestly, I've never really experienced that.
That's fair.
I've been depressed, but I've never like gone into fear, like full blown. Like I might get anxious over things, which, a form of fear. But for the most part, it's, it's the brain is trying to focus on different stuff, I guess, because you're depressed. If something is making you sad, what is not going to make you sad? Well, worry about something, get angry, do whatever. So what I've seen a lot of times when depression hits is another emotion will take over, and it might be the body's or the brain's way of trying to get itself, like jumpstart it in a way, get itself out of that mentality. Because what do you do when you're depressed? You shut down. You don't care.
Yeah.
The depression is almost the absence of feeling. So you don't generally feel super sad when you're depressed. You don't feel angry. You don't feel whatever, because you're already there. You're depressed. You've already been past that. So when you start feeling things, it's usually the brain's way of trying to jumpstart you and get you out of that, once again, back to a self-preservation. Because what happens with depression when you don't feel things anymore? Well, you just don't care. So when you don't care, then you just give up.
Interesting.
That's the way I view it, at least. I don't know.
Oh, I like your input.
Yeah. Alright, which brings us to my next question. What do you think will happen when you finally face your fears?
When I finally face my fears, I feel like I will be accomplished and I won't have to be scared anymore of things. When that happens. But until it does, hear me out. I'm supposed to just be over here chilling with my fears over there on the opposite side of the world. I will feel accomplished though when I get over them. Until then, I'm gonna just be here, vibing.
I think for me, when you finally face your fear or fears, you feel like if it's a small thing, you'll be like, oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, as opposed to something enormous like that makes you, just holy shit. You know what I mean? When like
100%.
I finally climbed that mountain, not knowing what's going to be in front of me, what I'm facing, but I overcame it, and now I'm here. Like you faced it despite the emotions you're feeling, like the anxiety and just that need to get away from that position. But when you finally face your fears, you feel accomplished. You feel like, okay, this wasn't so bad. I think if I do this more often, I won't be as afraid, if that makes sense.
100%. Like for me, one of my fears is heights. So it's just like every time I experience a different height, I'd be like, wow, I guess what I had learned from last time is that this isn't as bad because I'm up higher than I was and I feel fine. Like
Right.
it's you start realizing how little your problem was
Right.
once you get on a level
Yeah,
way.
because your brain just make your thought because you're overthinking about it and you somehow blow it out of proportion. And then
I
when you
really do.
finally do it, and then when you finally do it and you get over, you just like, huh, this wasn't as bad as I was making it out to be.
Oh, 100%. Cerberus, what's your input?
On what?
Per question.
Sir.
What do you think will happen when you finally face your fears? Is the question.
Mm. I mean, honestly, I think it depends on the fear, really. Like, if you're talking about fear in general, or if you're talking about, like, say, a fear of heights, it just depends, really, on what it means. Like, confronting a fear that has more locality, like a fear of heights, fear of water, fear of drowning, whatever, there's a sense of, you can get a sense of, like, accomplishment, of overcoming something that you, like climbing a mountain. You finally, you conquered something. You might not be 100% over that fear, but at the same time, you're not letting it run your life. As far as, like, fear in general, I don't think people will ever be fully over fear in general. Like I said, it's a self-preservation. We need it. If you don't have fear, that's when bad things happen. You don't have that thing in your brain telling you, hey, probably not a good idea going down that dark alley that's surrounded by, a bunch of drive-bys and drug dealers and everything else. You probably want to stay away from that.
Right.
That's when bad things happen, There's a reason why people, when they go into a parking garage at night, will hold the keys in their hand and make a fist like they have little key claws. Because bad things happen. We have no control over that. But it's just a natural response to what could happen.
Right.
So, a locality fear, yes, you'll have a sense of accomplishment. You'll have a sense of euphoria almost, that you went above and beyond something that you did not think you were capable of doing. But as fear in general, I don't think it's healthy to be away from that, because we need it. You actually need that type of fear to try and keep you alive.
Right.
And I even have a good example for that. There is a person, there's a few people, but there was a person in the news, they don't feel pain. They literally have no pain receptors in their brain that lets them know that pain. So what did they do? As children, they chewed off all their fingers. And they played in the blood. They made little drawings because they don't feel pain. But all pain is telling you that there is an issue with your body and you need to stop it or you're going to cause permanent damage. Well, that person who was in that news story or whatever, they were essentially in a mental asylum because they can't function on their own at all. So in a sense, if you didn't have fear, you would that would be a possibility. You would go around essentially thinking you're like bulletproof because you have no reason to fear anything.
Right.
You'd have people charging headfirst into the most ridiculous situations. And there's a difference between just fear and then, of course, courage, bravery, sense of duty. We have police officers, firefighters, military personnel, EMTs, everything, who charge into situations that they shouldn't probably, every day. And that's not, it's not an absence of fear, but it's a sense of duty and the job and everything else that they do have that lets them do that thing. It doesn't mean they're not afraid.
Right.
When I was in Iraq and we got into firefights, I was afraid all the time. But that's the fight or flight response. So what did I do? I shot back. Instead of hiding in the corner, which I saw that a lot. And it's easy to say when you're not in that situation, oh yeah, that person's a coward, they're this or that. But until you're actually in that situation, it's different. And the body, and there's no real logical explanation for it. The body will react differently. Everyone react differently. Even if we were all in a room, we were all raised the same, we all had the same upbringing, family situations. If we all had the exact same situations and you threw everyone into a fight or flight situation, not everyone's going to react the same, regardless.
That's true. That's very true.
Daddy, do you know
Yeah, which brings me, you pretty much answered my next question, which was how do you
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. The next question.
You know me, I'm very logical when it comes to this stuff.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, you are.
I just kind of,
You definitely
I go
are,
into
which
tangents.
is fine. The next question was going to be, how does fear affect a person's behavior?
I'm going to be like Bill Clinton and just say I'll refer to my former statement.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. Wait.
Deep breath.
Wait a minute. I wish we could take 5.
Right?
Help
We
me.
can't. We're on there, though.
Oh,
we gotta keep.
God.
We gotta keep
Oh,
going.
God.
We gotta keep going.
Okay. Okay. What was the question again? I am so sorry.
The question is, how does fear affect a person's behavior?
Fear affects a person's behavior. Just, I would have to say it would be by anxiety. Because I have experienced that, and because it brings, when I get my anxiety, that's when my fear tends to come out. Because, like you said, we tend to overthink things a lot, and
Right.
I really do. So when I start to overthink, it's just like my anxiety gets worse, and then I start to fear of what could possibly happen, and that's when I go back to that bubble state that I was telling y'all about earlier. Where I
Right.
just can't move and I can't go nowhere.
Right. So for me, in my opinion, fear can definitely affect a person's behavior. In which, if you're afraid of heights, you're gonna avoid things. You're going to avoid bungee jumping. You're going to avoid mountain climbing. You're going to avoid roller coasters. Things like that. You're going to avoid it. Because once you get closer to that area within that range where you're gonna, you're in line at the roller coasters, or you're in line to go bungee jumping. As you get closer, you start feeling, your palms are sweaty, your forehead starts sweaty, you feel clammy, your heart rate's going up, you feel like your blood pressure's going up. You hear the blood rushing in your ears, and you just start shaking. You're just like hyperventilating, like, what the fuck's happening to me? Oh my god, oh my god. And, that's how I am with roller coasters and anything having to do with heights. I'm just like, fuck, 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 don't let me die. But because you tend to avoid certain things when you're near something that you're afraid of,
Mm-hmm.
But it totally affects the person's behavior, because they'll either ruin the mood by being scared and not being one of those friends that aren't going to get on rides, or you're going to be that person that's going to get on rides because you love the thrill of it,
Facts. All right,
Like,
Mr. Bill Clinton.
Right? I mean, yeah, like you said, I kind of already answered it. For me personally, it's more of I would say, I've been in a lot of very high volatile situations, so my reaction to fear is essentially a more conditioned response where I just push through. I find a way to either eliminate the situation or escape entirely, regardless of who is involved.
right.
It's just something that I was trained to do, and the way I survived 2 war zones. So that's just the way it is with me, at least. And you'll find a lot of military personnel who've been in those situations. It's the same way. You either freeze up and you die, or you fight back. And most people do things that they are not proud of, myself included. But at the end of the day, you can say you survived.
Right.
So,
which is true.
If I could do some things again, would I? Probably. I don't know how it would work out for me. But there's a few things that I wish I had not done. But I lived, so I guess I can't complain too much.
Right. But at what cost, though?
Well, that's where PTSD kicks in.
Yep. Senpai, do you have another question you want to ask?
I do. When was the last time you came face to face with your fears, and how did you cope?
I can't hear you. Gotta speak up.
When was the last time you came face to face with your fears, and how did you cope?
Should think about that one.
I didn't hear that at all. Sorry, my wife was talking.
Oh, I said, when was the last time you came face to face with your fears, and how did you cope?
Gotcha.
I'm gonna let you answer that one first, Mikey, because I have to think about this one.
Last time I came face to face with my fears? I would say, well, more like an anxiety type fear. It was recently when
That counts too.
I had to get a new job. So it's always the fear of the unknown. And, I'm computer literate. I have a bachelor's degree in computers and stuff. I've done stuff with computers. I work with Aria's husband in the military. But I've been out of the game since like 2007. So my confidence level when it came to a lot of things like computer-wise, is not very high. So yeah, getting a new job, it always, that puts you're on a heightened level of everything. So I just went for it. Like I said, my deal is I just pushed through, damn the consequences, because I hated the job that I was in, and wound up getting a job that I love that's dang near almost double the money, and you know, so it worked out. But it also could have gone the exact opposite way, but the worst of it was I would be stuck in a job that I hate.
Right.
So, you know.
Take the plunge
And now,
sort of thing.
basically, yeah, and that's kind of what it is. On a more like, you know, like a general fear, most people, you know, they have a fear of death or a fear of the pain of death. And like I said, I shot back, so that's how I handled that situation. I shot until the other side stopped. And so, yeah, I walked away. They didn't.
Right. Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you. Me too.
Right.
I think my kids are too.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be best friends, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd be dead, so.
So I'm glad that you're here too.
Right?
Would you like to
Alright.
wage in?
Are you ready, Arya? Or Tink, sorry.
That's like Arya, Tink, whatever. I don't know.
It's okay, I'll tell you what, I'll go. I'll make it easier. Just give you a little more time to think.
Thank you.
I got you. So basically, last time I came to fear with is actually a few hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had the fear of dying, but I always think about suicide most of the time. So it's it kind of it's kind of like weird, and I have to walk to work, right? So I walk the highway, so it's just like I'm constantly wondering like if people are paying attention while I'm walking the side of the road. Like they get really close to the shoulder out here, and I'm just like, I be wondering if y'all be paying attention, because I'm just like,
Right?
all it takes is like y'all just be looking at your phone and you just swerve over and you're just like, doo-doo. And I was like, what was that? I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to work today.
I shouldn't be laughing, but the way you said that.
No, it's cool. I do dark humor. That's my comedy gold right there. I am so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But yeah, no, it's kind of like how I have to like view things. I have to view it as a joke almost, even though it's real, because it makes me feel better. Because like that, yeah, I come in contact with my fear of death like every day because I have to walk along the side of the highway. Like sometimes I get a ride, not all the time, which is great when I do. But like when I don't, I have to like be on the lookout of people, like if know when to like scoot over into the grass and things like that if there is grass to walk into. Sometimes there isn't, it's just the side of the road, so I was like,
damn it.
fuck. And I was like, yeah. I'd be coming in contact with tractor trailers too. I'd be like, hey yo, like I'd be feeling the wind after they fly by. I was like, well,
Wow.
yeah, it get close out there. It get real.
Right.
So yeah, that's what happened to me. How I cope with that? I literally just like put on some really good chill music while I'm walking.
If you're gonna go to the cars, then you're gonna go out doing something you like.
Oh, 100%. I escape the highway.
You know what's kind of funny?
What?
I mean, it's not like funny, ha ha. It's just amusing, and I'm also giving Tink more time to think. But it's not most people. It's not a fear of death. You know, that's the funny thing. Like even in psychology, they've shown it's not a fear of death, but it's the fear of the unknown. And you find that people who are, even people who are religious, you know, because it's an unknown. You know, we don't honestly know what happens. Do you just disappear, or is it done? You know, is there some sort of redo? Is there whatever? Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's just a fear of the unknown. But then there's also the other aspect of it's the fear of how you die, because we also don't know the body's reaction fully.
Nope.
So there's that fear of that pain, you know, like they've already shown that the human brain is somewhat active minutes, long minutes after everything is shut down. So the last thing they say that they've been able to show that goes is the last thing that they've shown is hearing. So you're going to hear people around you when you can't interact or do anything else.
Oh, I can hear all the people talking shit.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how they kind of explain some out-of-body experiences.
That's so wild. I'm gonna hear people talking shit about me. I'm dead.
But yeah,
Oh,
you know,
God,
that.
that's
So, you know, at first you might, you know, part of it's been somewhat explained, like, because like I said, we don't know, but there's ideas, there's theories, but it's been said that, you know, your sight is still active for a time, so you'll still be able to see. And then after that, you know, the sight will go away, and that's usually when the pupils are fully dilated, and, you know, you see that the human body the person's dead.
Yeah.
But there's still a bit of feeling, if that makes sense.
Not
You know,
entirely sure. I've
you're
witnessed it in front of me. I've witnessed death, but I've never.
Right.
I can't say the feeling because
like there's
I didn't
no,
get a
yeah,
chance to
there's
touch,
no,
I didn't get a chance to touch them or anything. I just watched them close their eyes.
right.
They close their own eyes and just.
Well, and you know, back when human beings were a bit more savage, I guess I would say, there was some experimentations that were done, like with the last beheadings in
I'm sure there
France
were.
and the UK and things like that, where they after they beheaded a person, they would yell, you know, run, do this, do that, and the body would take off like a chicken would, you know. And on top of that, the head would still react to stimuli. You could talk to it and it would react to the person talking. So the eyes would move to whoever was, like, you would say their name, like, hey, you know, John. And the eyes would move to the person talking and react to its name. The mouth being open, like for a beheading, is generally because the brain is trying to get oxygen.
Right.
But it can't, obviously. There's no lungs, there's no way for any of that to happen.
Well, I mean, it's getting
But
oxygen, but it's just leaving as well.
Yeah.
As soon as you
I mean,
get
I guess,
it's
yeah,
gone.
you could look at it that way. Yeah. Like, you can't, there's no breathing is what I'm saying. There's no blood flow. All the blood is leaving at that point. So, yeah. So it's an interesting ordeal when you look at death in a medical and clinical sense, because it's like, yeah, you know, we don't exactly know all this stuff that happens, but the things that we do know, I mean, for most people, at least for me, it increases anxiety. Like, I don't want to be aware. I mean, essentially, you'll be a prisoner in your own body, probably feeling the pain. I don't know if you've ever held your breath or been held underwater for a certain amount of time, but if it's anything like that, that's going to be entirely uncomfortable.
Yeah, it gets weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
That's science for you.
Right? But of course, stuff like that, I like stuff like that. It fascinates me. I just got a triple kill.
My turn, finally.
There you go.
I think. Not I think,
You're welcome.
but thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you to you both. One of my fears
Can I let
is
Aiden one more?
not dying, but
Mommy.
dying before my son.
Yep, and that's the other aspect. Yep, that's something I forgot to say.
Yeah, because,
You know what, Aiden?
you know,
Can I borrow it?
and then, of course, dying before my son does, and, you know,
No, I have to.
my son dying before me.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I have to do it.
Because, you know, as a parent, especially as a mother, you have that bond with your child. And it's a bond that it's indescribable. it's one of those things. It's one of those things you won't experience until you have children of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, I want to stay alive until my son grows old. That's what I want. But in reality, that's not going to happen. Because one, I'm old as fuck. I'm older than my son, and I'm 32. My son Gabriel just turned 12. Next year he's gonna be 13, and before you know it, I'm gonna be, uh, mid to late 40s or 30s, sorry, and then just that's when 40 is when about the age when our bodies start deteriorating more in terms of like heart issues, cholesterol levels, blood pressure, um, memory, any type of cancers, things like that. And that's when things are you're more susceptible in experiencing that, or possibly going through something like that. And as a mom, I have that fear of, I don't want to die before my time, because I want to teach my son everything I know. I want to see my son, get into sports, do some sort of after school activities when he's in high school, see him take his girlfriend on his first date, or uh, helping him get his first car, my husband teaching him how to drive, or seeing him getting ready for prom. These are things that I want to see and experience before I go. And if I go before that, oh my God, I will not be happy. I don't want to leave my son behind because I feel like he will not be ready. And it's one of those things where, as a parent, it you may not think about it now, but it's gonna be there in the back of your head, just like that tiny little voice in the back of your head. It's like, you're getting older, your kids are getting older. You need to, start teaching them certain things at a certain age so they understand what the world is like and what the world expects of them, and what you expect the world to be, and how they perceive the world, and how they know what to expect of the world. Because the world is not a nice place. I will be honest with that.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's very unforgiving, especially to someone, who you want to raise your children as someone that's humble and strong, and mentally and physically capable of taking on the harshness that is the world and society. Society's vicious as fuck. Same thing with the internet. The people on the internet,
God,
the
yeah.
fucking keyboard warriors, they're fucking relentless. They're ruthless. You do something wrong in the internet, and you get taken a picture taken of you, or you get a video taken of you, let it be 5 seconds and you're beating someone up, but you're defending yourself. They'll be like, oh, you fought this person, you hit them, you were the one that initiated it. Then all of a sudden, you're a fucking pariah, And I don't want that for my son. I want my son to be like, look, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. At some point, you're going to have to do this on your own, because one day I will not be here. That's something I haven't told my son yet, but, he's getting older, and once he starts figuring things out, these are the kind of conversations that we're going to have with my son. And it's hard, because just the other day, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, my son was playing on the Switch. I forget what he was playing. My husband was in the kitchen. I was sitting here in the living room with my son on a different couch. I turn on the TV. I turn on Hulu, and I think it's 2020, something like that. And it's a coverage about fentanyl crisis that's going on nationwide. Fentanyl overdoses and being mixed into drugs and things like that. And then I see that, and my son's right there. He's not paying any attention. He's clueless, because he's innocent. He's on his game. Whereas me as a parent, I've seen what drugs do to people. I've heard of what drugs do to people, and as a parent, this is something you want to shield. You want to shield your child from the dark side. Kind of like how there's a dark web. There's a dark side of the world where people really don't give a shit about you. If you have your addictions, if your vices, and if you don't satiate those vices, you turn into a completely different human being. And with the way drugs are nowadays, you never know what you're getting, whether it's pure, half pure, whatever, and put the wrong thing in your body, you fucking overdose, and you just fucking die at the age, you know,
So
15, 20, like, I was like, my son started asking me a question because he finally looked up. I was watching what I was watching. You're fine. And he's like, "Mommy, what happened?" And he's like, "Well, he passed away." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Because he took drugs. He took something he's not supposed to take in his body." He's like, "Why?" You know, I didn't give him the full conversation about drugs, but now that he's going to be turning 13 next April, these are things that he's gonna start seeing in seventh grade, 8th grade, and in high school, and for the rest of his life, And as a parent, you want to teach your child, to steer clear of these things because, as an adult, you know what it does to your body. You know what it does to you mentally. You know what it does to you financially, and how it affects your relationships with other people, and how it changes how you perceive the world. And it's ugly, and it's sad. And as a parent, you want to shield your child from the harshness reality of the world, And I won't say I broke down, but it was just like, can't believe I'm somewhat having this conversation with my son, but right. And so it's like, he's at the age where he's gonna start asking questions about certain things, and we're gonna have to have that talk is about certain subjects. We're getting close to that, and you want your child to know everything. You want to be able to teach your child the dangers of the world, the dangers of society, the dangers of being too trusting. And being innocent, unfortunately, it doesn't last long, until you witness something and it changes your perspective on certain things. And you're just like, fuck, did I fuck up as a parent? Did I fail my child? Did I not give him enough details? Did I not say the right thing? I should have said this. I should have done that. I should have mentioned this. But there's always that what, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And, as a parent, that is always in your head. From the moment your pregnancy test is positive and you're going to become parents, there are things you say to yourself and you beat yourself up for it as a parent, and you're just like, I should have done this. I could have done that, especially when your child is in their, early to mid-teens. Their innocence, you can see it slipping away because they're seeing things they're seeing things that's emotionally evolving them as who they are as a person. And as a parent, you just want them to know, and you want them to be good. You want them to not do certain things. You want them to do certain things, but at the same time enjoy who they are and embrace who they are as a person. And you want to give all of that. You want to teach them so much, and yet you have so little time. And then something happens to you as an adult, like you get in a car accident, or You get cancer, anything life changing or life altering. You start thinking about, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and I should have done this to my son. I should have taught him this. Why didn't I teach him how to drive? Why didn't I teach him to fend for himself? Things like that. And as a parent, it gets even harder when you're older because you're closer at death's door. You're closer to your time to go, And it fucking kills me every day knowing this, that one day I'm not going to physically be here for my son. One day I will not be able to physically shield him what I want to shield him from, And that's something that absolutely fucking scares the absolute living shit out of me, as a mom. Whew. So there's that.
You
That's
got
that's that's.
you got through it. You got through
Yes,
it.
I did. Yes, I did. That's one of my top fears is me dying before my son, or my son dying before me.
Well, hopefully, that doesn't happen anytime soon, and I'm pretty sure
Fingers
it
crossed.
won't.
You never know. You can't
never,
say it
you
won't
never
because
know,
you
but
never know.
I'm gonna stay positive though.
That's true. Yeah.
You never know, but you can still stay positive, and that's what makes things better.
Right. Enjoying the time you have now.
Fact.
Was that good, Mikey?
That was good.
All right. Everybody good to move on to the next question?
Yes.
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
Does it feel unnatural to do things that scare you?
No. It doesn't
Why?
actually. Why it doesn't feel unnatural? Because uh, I know that I have the fear, but I also want to
Mhm.
overcome the fear. So it's
Mhm.
only natural for me to say no because I want to overcome said fear one day. Like I
Right.
know it's there, so I want to overcome it so I can just live my life abroad. And this is
Right.
like even though like I know that I don't want to be like looked at as invincible. I can go out and do this and I won't be harmed. But like more along the lines of I know of whatever fear I have can't hurt me no more. So like
Right.
I can just go out there and live my freaking life without having to worry about said fear.
Right.
So
That
yeah,
makes
no,
sense.
the answer is no for me.
Okay. I think for me, um, it doesn't feel unnatural to do things that scare you because one, you know, fear is meant to be, being scared and fear is it's hardwired into us as humans. Um, it's like what Mikey said, what Cerberus said. It's it saves us. It keeps us alive. Um, being scared, being afraid, and trying to trying to put this in the best way possible. Um, doing things that scare you. It's sometimes exhilarating because you're doing something that normally you would never do, or saying something you never thought you were going to say. Like right now, perfect example. I'm not when we do our sessions here.
Hmm.
You can tell I'm nervous and anxious as fuck. I don't like talking to a group of people like face to face. But if it were like in this setting, I'm good. I mean, I'll stumble because I'm just like, not knowing what to say next, but it's doing something that scares you, you overcome it, feels great. You feel like you can overcome anything. And it's natural to feel that way because you never know what's going to happen until you do it. Like as a man, popping the question to your girlfriend whether or not you want to marry her. Your fear of rejection. You won't know if she's gonna say yes or no, or if she's ready for that level of commitment, until you ask her to marry you. Same thing with jobs. You ask for a raise because you bring more to the table than XYZ. You ask for that raise because what's the worst that can happen? Say no. You won't know until you do it. So I feel like it's natural to do things that scare you because without being scared, you won't have that. What's the word? You won't have that wisdom and you won't have that knowledge until you actually do it and you're just like, this isn't so bad, you know? Cerberus, you're quiet. What say you?
I'm just listening.
It's your turn, though.
I mean, yeah, obviously, I don't think that it's, like I said, I think we need fear. You need a healthy level of fear, obviously,
Yeah.
to keep you going for whatever and through whatever situation. But yeah, it's a balance. It's a fine line between healthy level of fear and unhealthy, what's going to create issues.
Right.
So you just have to find that balance. And it's easier said than done. I mean, we can sit here and give each other tips and tell each other all this stuff, but yeah, is it really easy to do? Mm-hmm. No. It's easy to say that there's no reason to be afraid, or you just go out to that ledge and look down at that 150-foot drop.
Right.
It's so much easier to say that.
No.
Even if you're afraid of heights, it's easier to say that to someone else than it is to do it. I mean, it's so much easier to give advice than it is to live by it. Yeah. And that's why most people do that. They have issues with advice and things.
Okay. Senpai, do you have any questions?
I do have a question. My question... I'm about to drop my controller. My question is... Why is it when we have fear, it makes certain body parts feel numb? Like the whole looking over a 150-foot drop thing. If I'm up that high, my legs will just automatically just turn into like syrup, and I'm just like, I don't understand how you move. Like if someone was to kindly push me over, I would go over. Or you could save my life and pull me back.
Right.
But either way, my legs say that I can't move from this position because I'm up so high.
It's that adrenaline going in your brain and going throughout your body, and that adrenaline just fucking kicks into high gear. Once you see that 150-foot drop, you're just like, what the ever loving fuck? And your body, unless, like Mike you mentioned, unless you're trained to do otherwise, your instincts are going to kick in, and your brain's going to tell your body, like, look, what happens? You're going to die, and our body parts are going to be here, and over there when we splat, and we don't want that to happen, so we're going to stay put right here until we get our shit together and step the fuck back,
Facts.
Because I know what you mean. I'm like that I had an instance when I was back in Maryland. We were at this park at this, I can't remember the city it was in, but there was a snake in the grass, and I think it was a rattlesnake, and I just froze. I saw it and I froze, and it saw me, and it froze, and it was like your heart starts beating incredibly fast, and your brain, you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck am I going to do? What if it bites me? What if it follows me, you know?
Oh my god,
And,
it's like a big thing.
right. And so my legs was, like you said before, my legs, I can't remember if they went numb or if they were like weak, but I swear to God, I thought I was going to pass out because I was so frightened. I was so scared. Because that rattler was just fucking looking at me like, "What are you gonna do? Huh? Huh? You're gonna
I'm
get close
just
to
like,
me?
I'm
Let
gonna
me bite you?
stand right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay the fuck over here. You stay the fuck over there. Let me have my moment. I'm not gonna fucking scream because that's gonna agitate you even more." And at some point, I don't know how long I stood there, but at some point, I backed up and I was like, "There's a rattler over there," and people were just like, "Oh, okay, bye." And I was like, like its eyes was fixated on me, and I was backing up very slowly. Because there were other people to the side, and other people to my right and my left side. Oh no, it wasn't focused on them. It was focused on me. Like, whew.
Yeah, that's scary in its own.
Yeah, like I almost pissed myself. I was like, holy shit. I almost passed out, almost pissed myself, thought I was gonna faint. Yeah, no.
I'm glad you didn't. Like, sheesh.
Yeah. What about you?
Fritz, you talking to me or talking to him? I'm sorry, I got confused.
Either or.
Well, like for me, like I said, it's the whole uh height thing. So
Mm-hmm.
like for me, I don't know how to explain it, but I can't move my legs and I tend to go numb. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'll do, right? I don't know what it is, but for some reason, just sitting there just makes you feel so much better. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, but just sitting on the ground like makes you feel so. Or even if you're like say it like it's one of those metro stations that have an extremely high escalator. So I'll just sit there on the escalator. People look at me all the time. I'm just like, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna vibe out. I'm gonna sit here as it takes me all the way up at a
Right.
stupidly slow rate. It's like, could you move any slower? Oh yeah, I be sitting there and people be looking hard. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm just gonna sit here though.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of how I tend to get around things.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like my legs are gonna give out, I'll just sit down until I can regain consciousness and the blood rush isn't there.
Right.
Because I need to make sure that I'm in a safe environment before I can do anything.
Facts.
Sarah's, would you like to weigh in your logicalness, please?
All right. Good talk.
Oh, damn!
He
Service,
thought
you
I was,
just
like,
left me
ignored
there.
you,
He just
right?
left me there. My guy, where are you? Might be dealing with the baby.
True. All right. Um.
Yeah, give me
That's
one
good.
second,
Yeah.
guys, and I'll be there. Give me 1 second.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. See, I had a feeling that's what it was.
Yeah. Um. Dead silence.
It's just like,
Um.
where do we go from here?
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, damn.
What was the question? Sorry.
Okay, okay. So the question was, why is it when you have fear, when your fear comes out, what why does your body why certain body parts go numb? Like you'll be able to move other body parts, but certain body parts may be your legs, maybe your arms, your hands, whatever. But certain body parts will just deaden when your fear tends to come out.
Mm, I think that that's part of the physiological response to fear itself. Oh my god, my wife's alarm is going off. Hold on. This is driving me crazy. There we go. Okay, I just shut that off. You know, a lot of people, like, they'll get dry mouth. They'll break out in sweats. A part of it is a surge of adrenaline that goes to your body that will feed that flight or fight response.
Right.
My daughter agrees with me. She is telling us all about it right now.
So cute.
But
The knowledge.
right, no, knowledge bomb. But yeah,
I agree with her
a lot of it.
completely.
Right, me too. Blah blah. A lot of things would be solved by just blah 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 blah.
Love it.
But yeah, it's a psychological response to the fear that will feed into that flight or spy. A lot of it is the adrenaline that is all of a sudden surge through your body. You also notice, regardless of the situation, you might have a sense of heightened senses. Your hearing might become clearer. You'll feel everything. You can feel all the breezes, the wind, everything touching you. And that creates a lot of other problems too, because when you're not used to any sort of heightened sense, you know, even a sense of smell and everything, you kind of create a sort of a hallucinogenic effect for yourself. And that's how a lot of people will hear or see things that aren't necessarily real, because their brain is playing that trick on them through that surge of adrenaline. And some people can't even handle that surge of adrenaline. They'll break out in sweats and start shaking immediately. Usually that's the after effect. If you've ever been in some sort of major incident and you get that adrenaline, and then you get basically, you know, the adrenaline dump afterwards, you can feel sick, nauseous, you'll get shaky, most people will just sit because they can't stand anymore. They lose feeling in their legs. They almost pass out. Some people do pass out. You break out in cold sweats. You know, it's a normal thing because you're not used to having that amount of adrenaline pumped through your body for whatever situation. And it's usually instantaneous, you know. It's not just a slow buildup of adrenaline. It's bam, all of a sudden now you are the Incredible Hulk.
I was wondering, I thought I was sick for a minute. I was just like, why am
Yep.
I like this? I've never felt this before. And the next thing I know, I'm just like, I'm gonna just sit right here and regain consciousness.
Yep.
Right.
And that's, like I said, it's a normal thing coming down from that. And it's funny because, you know, people who like to use different types of drugs and things, they simulate that experience, but the coming down is almost the same. So you simulate the same experience. Like a lot of the drugs that people get, your body can actually produce the feeling of itself the same way,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
To me, it does.
100%, I agree.
To the baby, not so much, maybe. I don't know. She's arguing. She's ready for battle.
Right.
All
right. My next question. Have you avoided jobs, people, places, situations, conversations, or experiences out of a fear of something? What was it, and what was the fear?
Yeah, like all the time. It's just avoiding people in general is my thing. Hear me out.
I don't blame you.
Hear me out. Like, I'm a very friendly person, but like I still don't like. I like my bubble. I'm not a. I can get very quiet when I'm out in the open and in the world. So I tend
Mhm.
to avoid people as much as I can. And 9 times out of 10, it just looks like I'm gonna kill somebody, and I don't mean for it to look that way, but it works,
Resting
and
bitch
people leave me the
face.
fuck alone. Oh, 100%. I got a resting bitch face for days, and the shit just don't go away, and it just like,
Right.
but it keeps people away. So I'll just be, yeah, I use that shit every day.
Right.
I'm sorry. My fear is just like having someone come up to me randomly and be like, "Hi, let's be friends. I'm gonna talk to you, and now I'm not gonna leave you alone." And now we're just gonna
Right.
all I'm just like, oh my god, space, 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 like back the fuck up. Like
Right.
that's all that is my fear. Just being out and all that. So yeah, I have used resting bitch space to overcome compensate fear of world of said people.
Yeah, I've avoided certain people, situations, and places, and occasionally experiences out of fear. Um, there's certain people, when I fall out with them, I will avoid them as best as I possibly can, because I don't want anything to do with the person that I fell out with, because they did something or said something and it wasn't okay to me, and it just I'm the type of person I will take a lot of shit from people, and Mikey can attest to this. I will take a lot of shit from people, and I'm a very patient person, but um, I am slowly learning to set my personal boundaries and setting boundaries for myself. So I don't get stepped on, so I'm not like a
Mhm.
doormat, I'm not gonna, you know, listen to you, but you not listen to me. You know what I mean? If that makes
Right.
sense. And then there's certain situations I will avoid if um if I go out uh with I really don't do that anymore now, but if I go out with some girls and we go to a bar, we go shopping, I make sure that um I see everybody, if that makes sense, like the group of people that I'm with. And if I can avoid being alone and avoid being with a guy, I will avoid it at any cost, If it's if
100%.
it's crowded, it's one thing. But I've had such bad experiences with men growing up because of certain traumatic events that I do not trust being alone with them. Like, um, I would rather have a female doctor than a male doctor because of certain things that happened to me growing up. So
Understandable.
I feel more comfortable with female doctors and specialists unless I feel that
Me
you're
too, giggity.
unless that was
Oh
loud.
well.
Unless, I feel that you're okay and you pose no threat or danger to me or you won't do anything to me. Um,
Right.
I avoid situations like I if back home when I was working in Maryland, I would if I got to work late and I couldn't get a ride home, I would ask for a ride to a bus stop before we closed down the office and set the alarm. I would ask for a ride to the bus stop so I don't have to walk there because you know it's dark, especially in the dead of winter in Maryland. It's dark. You don't know who lives
100%.
there. You don't know who's lurking behind you. You don't know who means good. You don't know who means bad. You know, and so you want to be in the populated area where people can see you. So walking to the bus stop by yourself is creepy and it's scary. I do my best to avoid situations like that where I am by myself, especially at night and if I'm out. You know, um, there's certain places I avoid. Um, Uh, there's certain spots I avoid back home in Maryland out of trauma that
That
happened
is
in those
fair enough.
places.
Maryland be
Yeah,
sketchy.
yeah.
I should know. I live here.
Even in the suburbs. Like I
Oh,
grew up in
100%.
Hyattsville, Maryland. I was,
Okay, you weren't
raised in
too far
Hyattsville,
from where
Maryland,
I live now. That's wild.
right? And then I moved to Durwood, Maryland, when I was 15, 16, I think. And then it was completely different. Suburbs is different than the ghetto back in Hyattsville because it's just different. Um, but that still doesn't mean you're not going to get mobbed or robbed or raped or anything like that. So you
Oh
do your
yeah, you
best to,
can.
especially at night, and especially for a woman. Like I cannot stress this enough. If you're a woman and you're walking alone at night, either to a friend's house or to um or to your house, wherever it may be, whether you're going to the metro rail to go to DC or to certain parts of Northern Virginia, you avoid walking by yourself. If you walk by yourself to the metro areas, you need to have your keys, like Mikey's mentioned before, have your key in between your knuckles, in between your fingers by your knuckles. So if someone tries to fucking grab you, you scratch him up with the key. That was one of my fears when I was back in Maryland. Um, is that whenever I took the Metro Rail to go to certain parts of Maryland, certain parts of DC, certain parts of Northern Virginia, I made sure I went during the day, but even during the day, it never happened. And I feel like it's worse for a woman than it is a guy. But then again, as a guy, you can be mobbed. You can fucking robbed at gunpoint, robbed at knife point, and it's scary. And so I tend to avoid it. If I can help avoiding any type of situations where it's gonna put me in danger, I will fucking do it. If I feel like if I feel like someone's following me, I'll grab a girl. If there's like a group of people, I will go up to them and I will link arms with them and I'll be like, hey, I won't be loud to where the person that's following me will hear me, but I'll be like, hey, someone's following me. Can I just go with you guys? And 9 out of 10, they'll be like, yeah, come on, let's go. We got you.
Oh, 100%.
For real. And it's
People be
if I can
sketchy
help
out here.
avoiding, people are fucking sketchy. Period.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that too.
Like until you prove otherwise, I will deem you a threat until you prove to me otherwise. Which is why at first when you meet me, I'm shy as fuck. I'm assessing you. I'm assessing the danger.
I don't blame you.
Oh. Cerberus, care to weigh in?
Hit us with your knowledge.
I mean, I don't put myself in dangerous situations like on purpose anymore. Like before it was a job, you didn't have a choice. There are things just because of things that I've experienced, just like you're saying, that I do. And it's funny because, like what you were describing, it's like stereotypical behavior. You know what I mean? And I do the same thing to an extent. Like, we go to a restaurant, I don't like my back facing the door. I like to know where all the exits are, wherever I go, every time.
Well, you were in the military and we're in combat zone, so that's understandable.
That's what I'm saying. So that, there's certain things that I'll do because of the things that I've experienced.
Right.
And I think like my wife's the same way, and most people that I know who are in those situations, same way. We can identify gunfire from fireworks or for whatever very easily, like a lot more easily than most people. There are certain things that you can pick out where you're like, oh, shit. And, it, you know, there are things that will take you back to unpleasant situations, and you try to avoid those. But at the same time, especially like with any PTSD type deal, you don't necessarily always know. It could just be just a smell. It could be a random memory. It could be, you know, whatever. Like, perfect example, last night, like I was telling you, I told you, you know, my freezer went out. She's about to hear it because she's sitting right next to me. You know, she came in while I was clearing out the, you know, it was all, we lost a lot of meat. There was a lot of blood, everything all in there. And, you know, there's a distinctive smell when it comes to blood and things like that. So when she came into the garage, she was like, oh, you know, I feel sick. You know, it's gross. It smells bad. You know, it's whatever. And I was like, oh, you know, obviously I don't think you spend a lot of time around dead bodies, which isn't true. But, you know, if you're in a war zone situation and you spend time with the deceased, there is a distinctive smell. And, you know, things like that. So as I was cleaning it up, at first, you know, I was fine. And then after she left, because she felt like she was going to get sick, I think what happened was I just started thinking about it. And it kind of took me back to some situations. And then I started to, like, I had to basically give myself a moment, you know, before I could continue cleaning up the freezer. Just little things like that. So, you know, you never know exactly what it's going to be. And that's why we have safeguards. Like you were saying, you know, you don't go into a dark room or alleyway or whatever, or anything, parking garage, without the keys or knowing, you know, whatever, or even, you know, wanting to go with someone. Yeah, there's something. So it's not always gonna be the same for everyone. Some of them, it could just be pretty dumb. You know what I mean?
What may be dumb to one person may not be for the other.
Well, no, that's what I meant. You know, it could be that way. Like, you know, like with me, you know, anyone going in there and they're like, ugh, it smells like rotting meat and congealed blood and stuff. It can make people sick or whatever, but some other people, it can take you back to some pretty bad stuff. I don't know, you ever see the TV show Dexter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how Dexter, you know, his mother, you guys have finished the show, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers, but, you know, okay, so, you know, Dexter's mother
Spoiler
was
alert
murdered.
to everybody.
Right, Dexter's mother was murdered with a chainsaw, and there was a huge blood deal. So, you know, although Dexter was a mass murderer himself, and he was also a blood specialist, like a blood spatter specialist, he couldn't handle the large amount of bloods of some crime scenes. He would literally shut down. He would freak out. You know?
Right.
And the reason for that was because it would take him back to his childhood. Oh, damn it. I just shot my teammate. Whoopsie.
Ah.
You know, but it'd take him back to his childhood. It attacked him to that thing. And he didn't necessarily exactly even remember that is what would happen. So, you know, it's gonna, things are gonna be different for everyone, obviously.
Yeah.
And you can't avoid everything, obviously.
No.
No.
But if you can help it, you avoid it to the best you can fucking do.
Right. So I don't know, that's just my deal. Like I don't have like a fear of heights. I don't have a fear of water or things like that. So I don't avoid any stuff like that. You know, I've been skydiving, I've been on fast vehicles, I've been all of that stuff. But I can also understand why some people will do that because of that response. You know, it's a self-preservation thing. But at the same time, I'm also not going to walk like with $5,000 hanging out of my back pocket in the middle of Detroit at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You know. So,
Okay.
if that makes sense, yeah, you know.
No, it absolutely does. Do you have any questions, Mikey?
No, I didn't come prepared for questions.
Oh no.
Next Monday, you better be.
Maybe. Depends on the...
Senpai, do you have any questions?
Unfortunately, I do not have any questions.
Alright, I got 3 more.
Uh-oh,
That's
I'll
fine.
let you get your 3 questions
See,
in.
Christians are
You
fine.
ask. You ask
Well,
your question first.
My question relates basically to just what we all learned from the end of everything. So I will let you get your 3 questions in.
Okay. Let me just erase this so I don't get confused. Okay. Is there a difference between fear and being scared?
I would say they're
Anybody
the same.
can answer.
I want to say they're the same. I'm not entirely sure. Hear me out. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is there a difference between what now?
Fear and
Being
scared.
scared and fear.
I feel like they're one and the same almost. I don't know how to explain it.
So for me, fear and being scared are 2 different things, in my opinion. Can't speak for everybody else. So, I feel like feeling scared is temporary. It's a temporary feeling, you know. It's a fleeting response to, like, you know, being scared when someone jumps up behind you and goes, boo, you know. Or when, you know, you hear a loud popping noise and you jump. I feel like being scared is a temporary feeling, whereas fear has a longer lasting effect.
Right.
It's a longer lasting feeling that's more physical and mentally just really fucks you up. You know? Like I said before, my fear is dying before my son and my son dying before me. But me being scared is like, you know, me cooking something and my husband fucking unknowingly scares me by walking up behind me and grabs me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or, here's a good example. Mikey, I think Mikey, you would know this one. That video where, you know, there's a car driving, they're driving in the winding road, and then 5 seconds later it's that chick from The Ring, or from the, whatchamacallit, from The Exorcist is jumping out at you and you're going, ah! You know? You fucking scared the shit out of you because you weren't expecting it.
See, I look at that as like, it's a level of fear. You know, that's all one and the same because it has the same, the responses are the same, but like you were kind of saying, the length of it is different.
Yeah.
So, you know, being scared, yeah, it's more temporary, but it can become long-term depending on the situation. Like
Yeah.
you know, like the being followed at night. You can be scared of that at first because you're like, you don't know this person, but as time goes on, it's going to turn into a fear. That's what I'm saying, that you have like the different levels, you know, of fear, because you'll have like, you know, you're scared where you have your basic jump scares, you have your scary story, the movies, everything. You're like, oh god. As time goes on, you know, it comes full-blown fear, and then if it goes even further to where you're actually in a fight or flight situation, well, now it's terror.
Yeah.
Because you are just, you know, and that's where you almost have no control over, you have no control over what happens, but you almost have no control over your own response, except for, like I said, if you've been through the situation before and you have training or anything like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where police, military, certain
EMTs,
types of, where they go through training to push through that response, to condition you to react differently in certain situations. I mean, that's the whole point of doing those military exercises. And back in the day, that's why they used to use, which they don't anymore, but they used to use live ammunition in training and fire over people's heads and things like that to give you that, holy crap, I can die. So when you're actually in that situation, instead of freezing up, you're going to do what you were trained to do.
Right.
I mean, there's a big difference to knowing that this is a training situation and you might get hurt, but you won't die, to, holy crap, I can die.
Right. Alrighty. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Next question. What did you feel after your encounter with fear? What did you learn about it?
What I learned from my fear it was really stupid. Like, for me, when now that I'm older, for when I was younger, I didn't know what to think about fear, but now that I'm older, for me, fear is just one of those things that are just stupid, because you can't it's something that's always there, but you try to get over it, and it's gonna linger in the back of your mind until you actually put forth the effort to get over it. So for me, that's what I learned from it. Fear is just something, it's just all in your head, and it's just really stupid. And I hate that it's all in their head, but at the same time, I really freaking hate it.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from fear.
I think after my encounter with that snake, I feel like, you know, if I see another fucking rattler again, I'm gonna lose my shit. And then something that I did learn about the situation with that rattlesnake is that, you know, that rattlesnake's response basically rests on what your response as a human is. Like, if you're dumb enough to reach out your hand, crouch, and get closer to it, you're gonna get bit, and you're gonna get venom in your body. You know? But, you know, me, you know, I watch a lot of animal documentaries, you know, and, growing up, so I know that when you see a rattlesnake, you're not supposed to go near it, you're not supposed to fucking play with it, you're not supposed to fucking touch it, go near it, do anything to aggravate it. You back the fuck up away from its vision. I learned that day with the rattlesnake, I learned that not to fuck with snakes. 1. 2, be aware of my surroundings. You know, for snakes in general, and just be mindful of where I am, especially when you're in wooded areas that are known to harbor snakes and things like that. You know, Mikey.
Yes.
What did you feel after your encounter with fear? What did you learn about it?
What is that? Bag.
I don't know, I'm not there.
That is a question, sir.
$1 million question. What's in
Sorry.
that bag?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, kid walks out with a bag and there's poop on it, and I'm like, what? Why?
I would be looking at him too, like, why?
So, I mean, you know, without going into too many details and such, yeah, my encounter with fear was, if I do things right and with the correct amount of ammunition, I will live. essentially what I got out of it. I know it's probably not the answer most people are looking for, but it's like,
No, but it's an honest answer.
Great.
ammunition will solve it. And honestly, I think, when you really think about it, psychologically, one of the reasons why I like running like Sweet Business in Destiny is because that's just how I look at things. Is if I have enough ammunition, I will live. So I choose a weapon that has pretty much all the ammunition.
There you go.
That's good.
If that makes sense,
Solid
yeah.
answer.
So
Solid answer.
I'm for it.
So,
It's
note
only-
to self: stay put and wait for you to come save me
what?
in the zombie apocalypse.
I don't see how. Say that again. Sorry, I missed it.
I forgot what I said.
Something about the apocalypse.
I said note to self: stay put and wait for you to come get me during a zombie
Oh.
apocalypse.
Right.
I'll just run into you guys along the way somewhere, and you're just gonna know, like, yeah, that's that guy that we we did the podcast with.
Did our live streams with.
That's the guy we did the live streams with. I'm gonna be walking with a machete and a couple swords. I'm just letting you know now, because I don't do guns. I swing. And I swing hard. To the point of
All right, Michelle.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we out here. I'm that bitch. Remember that. I'm always that bitch.
Last question. What was your fear as a child? What are your fears now as an adult?
My fears as a child.
I will go first.
Go for it.
My fear as a child was fucking Chucky.
Wait,
Fucking
which
Chucky.
one? Which one?
What do you think? The old school Chucky.
Okay. No, I'm talking. Okay, are we talking about like toy version Chucky, or are you talking about like Chucky from like the old school from Chuck E. Cheese? That dude was creepy.
The horror movie Chucky.
No, the horror movie Chucky.
Okay, but I say
I was
Chuck E.
forced
Cheese
to watch
Chucky
that
was
shit.
Chucky was creepy too.
Oh yeah, it doesn't scare me as much as fucking doll Chucky. Oh my god, my uncles are fucking scared the living shit out of me when I was little. At my grandparents' old house, we had a basement, and there was a long stairs, a set of stairs that went down, and it's always dark, and the only window in the bedroom that's in the basement is just slightly above the ground. You can just barely get sunlight in. Other than that, it's dark as fuck. And then you go into the actual basement itself. There's a couple of windows that are above ground, and I was always scared of the basement itself when I was little, and I hated the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my uncle's room used to be downstairs. So one day, after being forced to watch Chucky, I was scared. I didn't realize I was scared of it. But this shit stuck with me through adulthood. But one day, my uncle told me to grab something downstairs, and I turned on the lights, and there's a light switch right through the door that goes downstairs. There's a light switch up there, and there's a light switch downstairs. So you can turn off the light downstairs, or you can turn off the light from upstairs. I'm pretty sure you know where this is going.
Oh yeah.
So,
one of my
uncles. Yes, so one of my uncles told me to go downstairs and grab something. Me being the fucking innocent little kid that I was like, oh, okay, because I was raised with, once your elders ask you to do something, you're expected to do it,
Oh yeah.
So I went downstairs to grab something, and while I was in the bedroom, fucking one of my uncles turned off the light from upstairs, and oh my god, the fear, oh my goodness, like My heart was pounding. I was getting ready to pee myself. My hands were shaking. I was sweating. I looked around me, and I could have sworn I saw a little figure, running around. But it's like what Mikey mentioned before. Like you get that adrenaline, you start seeing shit, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and I immediately start crying, and I just ran upstairs. You know what those motherfuckers did to me?
What?
They held the door shut. They would not let me out. And I was banging and scratching at the door, and they were all laughing. And there was like, and they would make noise. They were like, Chucky, Chucky, which fucking scared me even more. And it wasn't until I actually pissed myself and started crying, I curled up in a ball and was rocking back and forth. And I was so terrified. Oh, my grandfather was so livid with my uncles. Oof. So livid. When they finally let me out from the basement, told them they were all assholes. I mean, I got beat for calling them assholes, but they deserved it.
Oh, 100%.
And my grandfather walked in just as they were, I was banging on the door, and he said something. I don't remember what he said to them, but I was sobbing. I had to take a shower because I peed myself. I was crying uncontrollably. Like, that shit carried with me until I was like 13, 14 years old.
Wild.
As an adult, like I said before, my fear as an adult is dying before my son, and my son dying before me. And I already went into great detail about that.
Trevor,
Mikey?
would you like to say what's going on?
Trying to think. When I was a kid, I kind of had a fear of heights. But then basically when I joined the Navy, going to the top of those radio towers on the ship to do shit and everything else, kind of lost that.
Right.
And then, yeah, it's never really bothered me. Well, and then of course, for our graduation from A school, we all went skydiving, so that kind of helped alleviate that.
Oh, damn. Y'all are brave and stupid.
Yeah. But we had a paintball war too. That was fun. And then they wanted to go skydiving and shit. So
That's all.
I was against the skydiving, but I was like, why not? I was like, I figured. Yep, I figured, I was like, if I'm gonna die, then I guess this is the way to go. But also at the same time, I mean, the way I looked at it was, I was young, I didn't have kids, I didn't have any responsibilities. Like, would I do it today? Hell no. Even though I know the probability of something going wrong and me diving in skydiving is extremely low, I still won't do it. Because same thing for you, I don't want to leave my children and wife and friends and family and stuff. So I won't do those type of things anymore. Not like when I was younger.
Yeah, young and dumb.
Yeah, Today, yeah, that's probably my only fear is leaving my family. That's pretty much all I got. Well, you're considered family.
Aww, family.
So yeah, that's pretty much my only fears, because one, I feel like I have too much undone. I don't have everyone in the situation that I would want them to be before I go.
Yeah. This got macabre real quick.
I don't want to leave anyone in a financial situation. I want to watch my kids grow up and do things. So I won't put myself in those types of situations. Like the closest I would come to that situation is if I had to defend any of them, which I'd probably die in the process, but I would do everything in my power to get them out of whatever was going on.
Same.
Like, you know, like I said, I like to know exits and everything else, so I have contingency ideas, contingency plans and such for if anything, for certain situations, if things happened. You know, someone breaks into the house, it'll be the last thing that they do. I might die in the process, but they won't get out alive.
Right? If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me.
Essentially, well, that's why, you know, I don't expect to survive any of that type of stuff, but I also look at it as like, yeah, you know, I'm not going to leave and then leave them at the, you know, my family at the mercy of whoever's in the house, so I will make sure that they are incapacitated before I go.
Right.
It's like the best thing for them to do is to get me in my sleep, but I'm already a light sleeper, so if I hear any types of noises, like the PlayStation, it was so funny, the PS5 turned on by itself to do an update.
What?
And so
Really?
I was laying, yes.
It can do that?
Yeah, it'll do that if you have it set.
I didn't know
so I was
that.
we're laying in bed and starting to drift off and everything else, and I heard the fans and stuff going, because I have those extra fans. And I looked at Jessie and I go, is the PS4 off? Because we have a PS4 in the bedroom. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, it sounds like it just turned on. And she was like, well, is it the fish tank? And I had just refilled the fish tank, you know, did the water on it, so it's not making a bunch of noise. So I was like, no, fish tank's fine. And she's like, well, maybe it's the washer, you want to go check on that or whatever. And I was like, it's not the washer, it's a different noise. So I get up, I go in the living room, and the PlayStation's on. And I was like, oh, there we go. So I turn it off. And yeah, to keep it from doing that, because I don't want to change the setting, but to keep it from doing that, I just unplugged the PlayStation at night.
Oh.
Tell them about your misfire.
Hmm?
You should tell them about your misfire.
Oh, yeah.
Fire?
So this was when we lived in the other city at the old house. I was actually playing Call of Duty late at night with a buddy of mine who's no longer with us. And, yeah, he's a good guy. But we were playing, and it's snowing super heavily outside. Like, it was a bad snowstorm. Really bad. And so, middle of the night, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, someone come knocking at the door. And I'm like, what the hell? So, my grandfather had given me this old World War II... No, it's not a Ruger. But no, it's not a Luger. It's not. It's an American gun, but it was like the American answer to the Ruger. I mean, it looks like one, but it's the American answer. I can't remember what it's got. I have to go look at it. But anyways, you know, it's old. It has the original ammo in it and everything. And I cleaned it and stuff like that, but so I pulled the slide back, because that's what I would do with people who would just come up to the door, because we didn't live in a good neighborhood over there. It's one of the reasons why we moved. I pulled the slide back at the door, and the round got jammed in the slide. So as I was trying to clear it, the gun just went off.
Bruh.
And it shot through the frame of the door. So whoever it was, I opened the door to find out what the fuck was actually going on. People I'm playing Call of Duty with are like, what the fuck was that? What happened? And so I was like, yeah, I just discharged my gun in my house. And yeah, there was, you could see they took off in the snow, like they fell over and like took off running. And their car is sitting there outside my house with the hazards on. They had broke down in front of my house, got stuck in the snow, so they were probably knocking on the door just asking for help. And they're like, oh my god, he's shooting at us!
Poor thing.
So, and then another instance, and this just comes to training and preparedness, and no guns was discharged, but we were laying in bed, and I think you might remember this. I had the 12 gauge tactical shotgun. It's in the garage. We're laying in bed, and it turned out someone threw a rock at our house. There was a big thump, and I was like, I rolled over, grabbed the gun, rolled out, and was immediately in the combat position, combat stance and everything with this shotgun. And Jessie goes,
Damn.
well, like she woke up and she goes, oh, someone's instincts haven't gone down. And I was like, shut up. And I'm like going around, looking around and stuff. And then that's all. There was nothing outside, but I saw there was this big ass rock and there was a chunk of the house. So someone threw this rock at my house. No idea what that was about, but someone was about to get a 12 gauge shotgun up their ass, apparently. I was dead asleep. I went from dead asleep to instantly awake and ready to kill someone.
Damn.
And so that's where I was like, yeah, I feel a little bad for whoever will break into my house, because if they don't die immediately, they will probably get tortured for information. Like, I will do horrible things to them to find out why they chose my house and if someone sent them or if there's anything, because, you know, being prior law enforcement and military and all that jazz, you know, there's bad people out there who don't like me, I'm sure. So it's like, what are you doing here? I'm gonna find out, and we're gonna do horrible things, and I'll probably go to prison because of it. But at the same time, it's like, eh.
Anybody have any other questions?
Nope.
All right. Well, this concludes our session for today.
Oh wait,
Longer.
No.
What?
He has one more wrap-up question. Senpai did. He was waiting for all your questions to be done, and then he was going to ask his last one.
You are correct, sir. I kind of forgot about my own question. I just wanted to know, what highlights could you guys take from what we shared today?
What highlights would be? What's the takeaway from the session today?
Some boys have babies in their belly.
Never live your life in fear.
No. Or you can't have babies.
Facts.
Essentially, live in the here and now. If you're constantly in fear, you will never enjoy what moments you have now. And don't let fear conquer you.
Is that fear is always there and is always going to be there.
I'm going to put the magic ring on.
Until you're ready to take it on. It's always going to be there. You just got to be ready for it.
Josephine agrees. She knows all about it, and she's like, yep.
Josephine would make the perfect lawyer. Like Camille Vasquez.
Yep. She's the white Camille.
I'm gonna hire her.
Right?
My takeaway is more like, you know, just stuff that I was saying. Was like, and like what you guys said, you know, fear's always going to be there. You don't want to let it control you, but it is healthy to have a certain amount of fear, because it's what keeps us alive.
100%.
So you don't want to live without fear, but you don't want to let it completely control your entire life to the point that you can't act.
I guess you don't want to be in control of fear. You don't want to let fear rule you, but you want to be in control of it. Like, you can have it, but be in control of it.
Right.
Alright.
If you let it run you, it's game over for a lot of people.
Yeah. Alright, that's all the questions we got. Thank you guys for stopping by and sitting with us. Oh, baby down. I heard that.
Oh no, baby down.
Oh.
Gotta go farm the baby.
Right.
Yep, she just fell over.
Oh no, baby down.
Thank you guys for stopping by. Please remember, we are not professionals. These are simply our opinions, our own questions, and our own take about the topics of the day. If you're struggling with anything with your mental health, you know, please send us a message via PSN. I'm Spank my Tinkerbell. I have Senpai here. Senpai
got
Husk
it.
here, and the Cerberus here. So if you need anything, just message us on PSN. Again, I would strongly prefer licensed counselor, or if anything, you feel like you're not in a you're in a very dark spot, just go to the nearest emergency room and they'll help you out. If not, then just message us and we'll be here for you. We are here for you. Um, we know what it's like. We understand what it's like. We've been through it. So if you need help, shoot us a message. Other than that, that's it for today. I'm your host, Spank My Tinkerbell.
You already know what Senpai S. Now we out. Let them know, Cerberus.
Bye.
Oh my god, I love that.
Right? Alright. Toodles, guys.
Till next time.
Yeah.
You're